So I want to mention about the landfills. Approximately 90% of North American landfills have no liners to stop leakage. You're supposed to put a liner under the bottom of the landfill. But most of the landfill sites do not have those, so when time passes by, those things decay, and all sorts of harmful substances seep through into the deeper depths of the soil and contaminate the groundwater. And 96 do not have systems to collect leachate that seeps from the landfill. And most of the contamination comes from the septic tanks and the surface impoundments. Most of the surface impoundments do not have liners either. That will contaminate our groundwater. So a lot of people just look straight above the surface, but don't forget there's a majority of the water resources was buried under our feet. So whatever we do on the surface do significantly impact the underground. Now we move into water use planning issues. So this is issues, thinking about the solutions, okay? Metropolitan areas must deal with and provide three basic services: water supply, wastewater treatment, stormwater collection and management. The problem to process stormwater is the impermeable surface, right? If we overbuild, we overexplore the area, and we put too much concrete surface, the impermeable surface will worsen the flooding, and the flooding is getting worse and worse. Many cities have separated storm sewers from sanitary sewers to avoid contamination. So if we can recycle, if we can store those rainwater and put in irrigation purposes or other recycled water applications, that'd be wonderful. And I do think the storm water is an area worthy of exploring and being creative and being utilized more. And for the water use planning, the future issues will have to be addressed, like increased demand, salt buildup due to evaporation may lower water quality, groundwater overpulping, overdrafting of the groundwater that cause sinking of the surface, a collapse of the cities even. The seawater and that cause seawater intrusion in coastal aquifers. That will cause the seawater go into the aquifers that will ruin the water supplies. And there will be increased demand for water-based recreation, which demands high water quality also. So what is water diversion? Water diversion is a process of transferring water from one area to another. And nowadays, to meet the demands of agriculture, and we manipulate those rivers and the watersheds. I don't know how much you know about the watershed. I try to post another video if I have time to let you know what is a watershed. It is seen as necessary in many parts of the world, and the problem is if you over divert those water for irrigation and the city purposes, the levels of the rivers, water bodies will be too low, and it has detrimental ecological effects. And we have Anneberg homework on that. Primary, now, I have two last focuses. One is wastewater treatment. So I want you to definitely understand the purpose of each step, okay? So the first step is to remove large particles via filtration and then pumps remaining water into settling ponds and lakes. So the first step to remove the big junks, to remove the big particles, large particles. And after these steps, the wastewater still has a heavy load of organic matter. So the second step is biological process that usually follows primary treatment, and it will promote bacteria and other microorganism growth. This is where the sludge come from. So it let it settle, it will promote the growth of microbial growth, which will degrade the organic matter. So we let what nature give us to get rid of those junks we produce. And in this step, we want to keep our bacteria happy. So we pump a lot of oxygen into the water. I will show you a picture how we do this. So this is the first step, and we let the water flow into and settle down. So we remove the big particles, and then we spray the highly oxygenated water into this pond to promote. And the third picture show you this is activated sludge. Sludge is mixed with bacteria and with organic matter. We want to pump oxygen into it to degrade organic matter in the wastewater. And the tertiary sewage treatment is to remove inorganic nutrients such as phosphates and nitrogen. And this process is extremely costly. That's why a lot of companies, industries do not do this step before they release the wastewater into the nature, but it is valuable but very costly. Some cities use natural or constructed wetlands to serve this purpose. To complete this stage, and some of the area use effluent to irrigate golf courses. They purposely recycle some of the water to save the expense. And for groundwater mining planning, we need to pay attention. We don't want to overdo it, right? Extended mining will lead to land settling, lowering of the water table, and ruining the quality of the water and the saltwater intrusion. This is a picture. When you overdraft, it goes too low. Okay, so the seawater usually keep outside of the aquifer, will go into the aquifer and ruin your water supply. So you combine this line and this line, you will see the balance was shifted because of the overdrafting, and the more seawater go into your water supply, and that kind of ruin everything because seawater is very salted. And the sustainability is definitely a trade-off between use and the long-term effects. And the strategies include shift the water to surface water, control pumping with guidelines, and conservation, reuse. I want to say, if we save water as individuals, it will relieve all the overall burden of the groundwater mining all over the world. That's why I emphasize the individual actions again, and again. I very possibly will test like your 3 Go Green actions, how you save your water. So some bodies of the water have unique scenic value. So we preserve some of the scenic water and wildlife habitats, and we have law to enforce that. And historically, poorly drained area like wetlands, we think they are worthless. So to today, less than half is left. That is very sad, and 95% is freshwater wetlands. And to take a look how we convert those wetlands for our own purpose is 23 growing back to forestry, and 20% rural development, 30 urban development, 26 agriculture. And we suffer from that consequence. We have more severe contamination and flooding problem after we done that.